Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to my card video for the launch of the May Sketch Challenge. Here is the sketch. I tried to pick something that would be pretty easy to follow. And here is my card using this sketch as a guide. I'm using Under the Sea Animals by Simon Says Stamp. It's a new set that has some cute images in it. I'm going to first work on my watercolor background. I have 3 different oxide inks. I have Cracked Pistachio, and then Broken China and Walnut Stain. And I'm going to put all 3 of these on the craft mat. I'm using the brown in the middle, kind of overlapping a little bit on the green and the blue. Now I'm going to spritz this with quite a bit of water. I have some Canson XL mixed media paper to my left. I have it extra long so I can trim the part that I like for the final card. All right, once I get my water on the craft mat, I'll put my paper into it and then I'll just sort of circle it around a little bit. You don't want too much because then you get too much blending, but you do want each color to kind of touch each other. All right, so here's what I ended up with. I kind of like it. It's supposed to be water and beach together. That was sort of my intention. I'm going to dip it back in to get that bottom part covered. And then I'll just grab a tissue and sort of pull up any of the excess liquid that's sort of pooling on the side there. So just wipe that up a little bit. And then I'm going to dry this because I want to put a second layer that's going to give me a little bit more of that dotty texture. So once it's dry, I'm going to clean off the brown area because I'm done with that. I don't want any brown to kind of take over my pretty colors here. And then I'll dip this back in. And so it's going to go onto dry paper, and there's not a lot of water, so it's going to look like dots. They're a little bit too dark, so I just kind of tapped them a little bit with my tissue. And I really liked the way it turned out. However, I always find that it's hard to leave things alone. And there was a little white spot, so I thought I'd dip that in, and it just didn't work out very well. But it's okay. I just pulled that off again with the tissue and left it the way I had it before. I am going to add a little bit of water splatters to sort of get like water droplets. And I'm just going to flick them onto my cardstock after I spray the water into my hand. And that's going to be it for the background panel. So I'm going to set that off to dry and work on the other parts of the card. I'm going to stamp my starfish on Nina Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and then color him with some Copic markers. I'm going to use 2 colors for the sides that I'm doing right now. This is E57 and then filling in the rest with E35. I was just kind of a little random about it. I just wanted to get both of those colors. And then for the top, I'm going to color the edges with the E35, so carrying that same color up. And then I'll fill in the rest with the E31. I am going to add some dots to this guy, but I want him to dry first. So I'm going to put this off to the side to dry because if I put dots on it now, it'll just spread out and it won't look very good. So I'm going to move on to my sentiment. I'm just going to stamp this with some Versamark ink onto some black cardstock. This is Stampin' Up! Black. And then I'm going to put some white embossing powder on it and heat it. I'm going to trim it out and make it into a banner. So I've already kind of cut it down here. And how I usually make my banners is I measure 1/4 of an inch from one side and then 1/4 of an inch from the other side. And I'm actually I'm eyeballing the center from the top and bottom. And I'll just put a little dot there, and then I'll take a scissor and go from 1/4 to that dot and then from the other corner to that dot. And I find that this is the easiest way to make a pretty banner. And I just did that same thing on the other side. All right, now my starfish has had a chance to dry. I'm going to take the E57, which is that dark color I used on the sides of the starfish, and I'm going to do kind of some heavy dots at the edge and then spread them out a little bit more as I get toward the center of the starfish. The sketch marker has a very fine tip, which makes this easy to do. Next, I'm going to add some white with a white gel pen. So you can see I'm rolling it off to the side here, and that's to get the ink kind of at the bottom of the ball inside the pen. And that allows me to just go up and down, just down to make the dot and then straight up without having to actually draw dots. So you can just sort of tap the paper and get a really nice small dot. So I'm just kind of rolling the pen as needed when I run out of ink. I don't have the coordinating die, so I'm just going to cut this out with a scissor. I've cut 2 pieces of Nina cardstock at 1 5/8 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to draw a line on 3 sides, the long side and then both of the short sides, with a Micron 03 pen. I'm going to do that for both of these panels. And then after I'm done drawing these lines, you'll see that they kind of meet in the center with the blank side. Now I'm going to figure out where to position my watercolor panel so that it fits best with the colors I like. So I'm just sort of holding it there to see where I need to trim it onto my card base. So once I get it positioned, I'm going to mark the top, and then I'll mark the bottom. You can't see me, I'm off camera there. And then I'll take this piece and run it through the trimmer, noting that the left side is right flush against the card base. All right, once I get this cut, I'm going to put it down here, and I guess I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I wanted to cut a little bit off the left side too, just to make sure it didn't hang out at all. So I just marked the right side so I knew where to put it when I was done. All right, I'll flip this over, put some tape runner on the back, and then put it back where I had those pencil marks. And then I'm going to take some Scotch foam tape and put 2 long pieces on each of these side panels and adhere them so that the side that does not have a line is facing the center on both sides. I was planning to put the Starfish on first, so I'm getting him ready with a piece of Scotch foam and some 2-way glue on the edges, but then decided I really needed to put the sentiment down first. So I'll put the Scotch foam in the middle because that's where it needs to be level with those 2 side panels, and then put 2-way glue on either side, and then I'll put my Starfish so that he's sort of standing on this sentiment. And that is the card for today. I will be back with another card this week for the sketch challenge, just a little bit of a variation from this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.